Well, guys, today we are here with Yasser Zaki, and Yasser does huge things, and I know him through Tanya Gomez, and I met him at a Tanya Gomez event. Yasser, can you tell us what is it that you do? Like, what's your day-to-day world look like?
So I run the global operations of 1011K, which we operate in 8 different countries, doing different things, all evolved around helping vulnerable communities to live quality of life. And my job is to make sure that the company is applying all the strategies that we design and plan so we can deliver outcomes for the people that we're here to support.
So, am I understanding, Yasser, that your job is to set up systems that work well, so that everyone gets what they need, and if the system's doing their job, you can spend your time at the beach. Is that how it goes?
Well, that's the long-term plan, yes. So basically, the the strategy that we put in place is just as good as implementation, right? So my job is to create the link between the design of the strategy, where when in simple terms, when you talk with people, they say, "This is what I would like to do. This is the special service that I want to do. This is the expansion plan that I want to deliver." But when it comes to execution, it becomes a lot more difficult. So my job is to transform all the strategy thinking into practical implementation milestones that are achieved.
That makes sense, and it's obviously working, and that's fantastic. Now, why is it that people like Tanya Gomez would think that what you're doing is great? Why do people who are the elite of the elite love what you do? Like, what is it that you're teaching people, or what is it that people are learning by watching you? What can we learn from you?
So one of the things that I always talk about is disruptive management, right? So if you want to do things to succeed and to work, you need to find the problem that needs solution, right? If you try to do it all at the same time and deliver things at the same time, then the innovation gets taken away because everyone is pretty much trying the same thing. And the challenge around the NDIS specific is we are funded by the government. We're told how to spend the funding and we're told how to implement the plans and all that kind of stuff. And if you go outside of the framework that is drawn for providers, then you become fraudulent, doing the wrong thing and all that kind of stuff. So how do I get creative in an environment that is controlled by legislation and rules, which is rightly so. I got no objection to this. So where I stand out in this space is that I found a balance where I said, okay, if I am going to get innovative and if I want to deliver great outcomes for people with disability, then I will find creative ways of doing it by getting outside of the general government umbrella. So still do the normal things and what everyone else is doing in a quality way and just keep going on quality all the time. But also find opportunities where I can generate some revenues that can help people with disability to gain employment, for example, and get creative like that. And that's it, quite a disruptive management in the space we're in because we found other sources of revenue that is less controlled that can help people with disability to live good life.
That makes heaps of sense because all the people I see who are scaling successfully and profitably are not dependent on NDIS. They might be in NDIS, but they're not dependent on it. So that there might be, say, a physio who does some NDIS work, but also does some workers' comp and some aged care or something. And I hear what you're saying about getting that revenue to come from a diverse range of places. Where do you feel like NDIS providers are being not creative enough? Where do you feel like if I look around, NDIS it feels boring, it feels stale, it feels vanilla, it feels like everyone's doing the same thing. And then you've got a few outliers who are doing amazing things. How do we get out of this vanilla mindset?
But look, I think understanding how strategy work will help identifying and breaking down small little pieces that you can actually maneuver around the system. So simple example is what we call red ocean strategy versus a blue ocean strategy. Red ocean strategy is what the NDIS is about, where pretty much everyone's doing the same thing. And the difference between one provider to another is the branding, the message they say, the marketing campaigns, and the quality of service, delivery, customer service, colors, logos, all that kind of stuff. And there are simple examples like that. It's like JB Hi-Fi and Harvey Norman, right? They sell the same laptop. There's no difference whatsoever. The only difference is the way they brand position themselves. That's called red ocean strategy. The NDIS pushes us to that. What I'm seeing is a lot of providers are not talking that language. So we're not in check and we're not in reality. If we recognize the fact that we are red ocean and that we are delivering the same services that everyone else is delivering, and the difference is customer service, the difference is customer care journey, and the difference is our branding and colors and the effort we put on these things, then we can tell the message correctly. So as a client, if I go in and I'm talking to 10 providers, they're telling me exactly the same thing. And if you ask what makes you different, most would say because we genuinely care. It's like a favor. It's not a favor. It's a given fact that we should care. And it's a given fact that we should do the best things for people. And if we're not doing this, it means that's the bad guys. So we don't compare to the bad guys, if that makes sense. So we need to be in reality check with the message we want to pass.
It's like we need to lift our game. It's like we have this idea, if I'm not dodgy, then I must be good. No. If you're not dodgy, maybe you're average. But even the people who are like, because I care so much, I'm so passionate. It's like, how is that different from the person next door? Go ask any support coordinator. The emails I get inundated with, it's always, we're passionate, we care, we're this. Like, no, you're average. How do we go above? So I guess, yes, a question I'd ask you might be, in the work that you do, there's nothing average about it. Okay, I've met you. I've seen how you interact with people. I've seen the advice you give to people. It's off the scale. How do we all go from average to great? How do we go from great to awesome? How do we lift our sights to what we could be doing and not just keep playing this same boring red ocean game? What would be your recommendation for someone to build their skill set or build their company?
Look, first thing is there's a concept in business that says, and it's said by Vern Harnish, and it says, what brought you here is not going to take you there. So accepting the fact that as you evolve your business, you're going to have to evolve everything else with it. Right. So as the business grows, you need to restructure, you need to look at the talent you have that is helping you deliver the outcomes you desire, all that kind of stuff. Because these are the people that will help you to deliver these greatness that we're talking about. The second thing is once you recognize the fact that you need to constantly revisit the skills and talent that you have internally in your own. If you're not the best person for the job, don't do the job. It's very important. And it's not an ego-driven thing. It's a fact. Either go study, learn, and have mentors to help you to be the best version of yourself, to deliver the best company there is, or find someone that can do that. But if you hang on to something where you're not really the best at it, this will deliver not the best outcomes. But also, we need to all stick to what we're good at, right? And stay focused on our purpose. If you ask me, Yasser, what's your purpose in Tender Loving Care? In 1 minute, I'll tell you.
All right.
Helping vulnerable communities.
What's your purpose in tender, loving care? I just had a thought. I should ask you that question.
So our purpose is to help vulnerable communities to live quality of life. And when we define quality of life, to understand what it means, and we can look at our successful milestones, we defined quality of life as 4. If the person has good employment, the person has good education, and a safe place to live in, they have quality of life. There are contributing factors like connections, relationships, love, all that kind of stuff. They are contributing factors. But if you have the bare minimum of these 4 things, you'll be able to communicate, have food on the table, live in a safe place, and have good health to deliver all of these outcomes. This is our business model. Everything we do is these 4 things.
Well, that makes
So,
perfect sense.
so if you're in line with your purpose and clear about it, you know how many providers I ask, what's your purpose? It's like, and they take a minute to think. Then they say, it's to help people and to live a better life. It's to, to care about people. No. Be very straight and sharp about your purpose. Because I don't want you to just come up with something on the spot. I want you to know, educate it to your team, talk to your staff about it, and that becomes the language that everyone that works with you delivers. Then everything stems out of this. Then specialize on the things that will help you deliver your outcome. Be known for something that you're really good at. You can do other things, but be known for 1 or 2 things that help you to deliver the outcome and aligns with your purpose.
That makes heaps of sense. And you didn't get to this spot in a day. Okay, people obviously helped you along the way, just like you help others now. Who have been the sort of people who've helped you grow in your skills, influenced you? Like if I look at my skill set as a business owner, there's so many people who've helped me along the way, but there's also dozens of books a year that I read on business that have grown me to have my skill set. How did you get your skill set? What would you recommend that others do to build their skill set?
So what I did, and I'll share some of my experiences, is I pursued mentors all along. Every time I reached the stage, I tried to find someone that is a bit bigger than me and more experienced than me to help me to get to that next level. And I kept pushing for that. I wanted to be the best at what I did. So I wanted to have the right knowledge to deliver outcomes. I didn't want my staff, my CFO, for example, to be way smarter than me in running our finances. So I went and started accounting. So these kind of things are very important. I did a lot of management courses. I did a lot of management study. And as I got bigger in business, I just kept pushing for bigger. So I started from management here in TAFE to doing courses to then moving a step up and going to Stanford, doing Harvard, London Business School, all these little things is the small tokens that you put in your life to help you deliver. So my thing is don't stop learning because that's when you start dying. Keep pushing, find mentors. And mentors are not going to say yes, right? So if you go to a mentor, they're not going to say, yeah, please come in, I'll help you out. It doesn't work like that. You're going to have to work hard to get the mentors to say yes. You're going to have to drive the conversation. You're going to have to be very clear about what you want from the mentor. I had people ask me, yes, sir, would you please mentor us? I'm like, what would you like me to mentor you about? I'm like, oh, just to grow the business. Not good enough. What you want is clear and precise area of expertise that you want to be mentored for. And that will deliver the outcomes you desire. You just have to find the right people, fight for what you want. And remember that it's part of the journey to find mentors. It's part of the journey to take risks and manage those risks.
That makes sense. It makes heaps of sense. And what you're saying about finding mentors and asking some people to be mentors and being precise and deliberate about what you're looking for from them, it makes so much sense. People sometimes ask me to mentor them. I'm like, well, what do you need a hand with? And 90% of the time, they don't need me. They need to go and read a book, And I'm imagining that it's like that when people are asking you for things and that skill set. But I'm also hearing a commitment to growth. Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. I mean, if again, what brought you here is not going to take you there. That requires skills, talent. If you want to stay relevant to the business, continue to learn. Because think about that. A CFO or a CEO that runs a business that is worth $5 million is not the same skill sets of running $100 million. And it's not the same skills of running $1 billion. And what changes here is the learning. Now, if you want to stay relevant to the business until it gets $100 million, then you're going to have to evolve and continue to learn. So learning means growing. So why wouldn't we do it? And I always say education, YouTube videos, listen to podcasts like this, education in general is the most guaranteed investment you can do because you never lose when you learn. Never, right? So if I come and tell you today, why don't you invest in X and X will deliver you a guaranteed outcome? Everyone will invest. If I tell you now, give me $1,000, I'm going to turn it into $10,000 in 6 months, you give it to me. Guaranteed. Why is that? Because you know the outcomes. Education is one of the very few things that gives you that you invest into it, you invest in learning, you invest into, understanding, and the outcomes, you become a better person, a smarter person.
That is so wise. And there's never been a time in history where it's easier to get educated. I mean, if I want to learn something that I don't know, it's on YouTube waiting for me, or there's 100 books on Amazon waiting for me.
Yes. And it's not expensive. It just needs time and effort. You put time and effort, you get the outcome. So if you don't want to invest the time and effort, then don't get upset about the outcome not being delivered because it just comes with it.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, so can I ask you another question? It's like the real Yasser, not the Yasser who wears a suit, not the Yasser who's presiding over lots of big adventures, right? But the real Yasser, when he's at home and he's got time on his hands, what do you do to decompress? What do you do so that you're not associating yourself as the business Yasser, but you're actually realizing I'm actually human. I need to input into me. I've got a long distance ahead of me to run. What do you do to recharge and stuff like that? And what would be your advice to people who think that they don't have time for that?
Look, I meditate quite a lot. So I do a lot of breathing exercises every morning. I do that. And if I've got time, constraints, I go for a quick 10, 15 minutes walk and just appreciate nature, appreciate what we have and the good things to celebrate. I read, I like reading. Um, but I also have a thing when I have one of these tough days. It's an interesting habit that I created that it works for me. It soothes my mind a little bit. Um, when I get home after a heavy day, I put a movie on, and usually in a language that I don't understand, and with no translation into it. So basically, I'm not watching, I'm just distracting myself from anything and just switching off. And it works for me. So I don't even understand the movie and I don't need to, because the idea of it is to create the structure in my mind, paying attention to the language, what they're trying to say, trying to work out what they're saying helps a lot. I also worked very hard on myself to not see my job as just a job. So I find it very enjoyable to work hard, and I find it very enjoyable to put time and effort in what I do. It's very soothing. On the if I have if I have one of these days where I'm having a rough day outside, I revert back to work sometimes. Makes me feel better. Not a workaholic, but I love what I do.
Yeah, and I understand it. When you feel successful at work, if you're not feeling successful outside, it can be a good thing to just go and do a few hours of work and feel like, oh, I've had a win at least. You know what I mean? I understand that. And then the last question I have for you, Yasser, is because you hang out with a lot of people who are doing big things in the world, okay? And they're achieving a lot, they're doing good things. There are so many people who do that to a point where though they lose sight of who they actually are and they lose sight of their values and the things that did matter to them 3 years ago. Okay. What are the action steps that any one of us should be taking to make sure that we don't end up with our life going off track while our business is thriving?
So I'll go back to the initial conversation we had around purpose. Why do we need a purpose when we're doing a business? Why am I so focused on purpose, purpose, purpose? Because it's what keeps you in check, right? It's common that business can sometimes take turns. We get excited about opportunities, and as we grow in business, people start getting interested in us more, which ultimately means opportunities keeps coming our way, and we can get sidetracked and really focusing on other things that we shouldn't focus. What keeps us in check is our purpose. If I am checking with everything I'm doing, does that align with my purpose? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead and do it. But if the answer is no, then I have one of two options: stop it or revisit my purpose, re-strategize. But I can't just go do it. If I just go do it, it means I'm actually deviating away from my pathway, and eventually the gap becomes too big, and I could potentially lose everything. But if I keep in check with my purpose, is that aligning with my purpose? Is that aligning with my why? And if it is, go ahead and do it. It makes sense. But if it's not, then either stop it or revisit your why, your purpose. But don't just go and do it. That's the one thing I would say, and it works with me every time. I check, am I helping vulnerable communities to live quality of life? And everything I do, including commercialized businesses that we have outside of Australia, like our Dubai or US or UK operations. I always say, does it help people to live quality of life? So if the answer is yes, I go ahead and do it. But if the answer is no, then I change the purpose of it. Simple example, we import coffee, we have coffee shops and all that kind of. And yes. And the question is, does it help improve the quality of life of people with disability? And the answer was not enough. So we ended up putting a constitution in the business, employing 70% of the employees to be people with disability. Open employment, no NDIS funding, it's a standalone business. So we keep it in check with the purpose. Now I could have said, it doesn't matter, it's a business that is doing well, it's doing well. And if a business that is doing well, we can just go ahead and trade coffee and that's it. But that is not why we do business. We do business to help vulnerable communities with quality of life. That's why we do business. So unless it's doing that, then I'm not interested in it. Unless I visit my purpose.
It makes so much sense. It just makes crystal clear sense. Well, thank you so much, Yasser. You've given your time. This podcast may only be listened to by, say, I don't know, 150 NDIS directors. But there's purpose in that because every one of those directors are helping others have quality of life. So thank you for taking the time to come and help them to serve really well.
Yes.
And we love what you're doing. We appreciate what you're doing. And we appreciate the fact that you come and spend that time helping us. So thank you so much, Yasser.
Of course, it's an absolute. We're one community, and if we build it up together, we all thrive. So it's a pleasure.
Good
Thank
on
you for
you.
having me.
Thank you.